Welcome everyone to today's explainer. Get ready because today we are unlocking one of the absolute best tools you can have for building your confidence in English. We're talking about modal verbs. Now, I know grammar terms can sound a bit intimidating, but let's be real, these are just small words, yet they possess this incredible power to completely shape your personality, your politeness, and your fluency when you speak. So, let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Can I improve my English fast? It's a question learners ask literally all the time. But guess what? Whoever asks this is actually using a modal verb perfectly, without even realizing it. The word can is sitting right there, doing its job effortlessly. We use these words every single day in natural conversation without ever overthinking the grammar. Today is all about getting you to that exact same level of natural, effortless use. To get there, we're going to break this down into 5 super manageable steps. First, we'll look at the power of helping verbs. Second, 2 golden rules you need to know. Third, how we use them for everyday actions like ability and permission. Fourth, showing importance through advice and obligation. And finally, we'll tackle avoiding those common mistakes. All right, section 1, the power of helping verbs, small words, big changes. So, the crucial point is understanding what these actually are. A modal verb is basically a helping verb that jumps in right before the main verb to completely change the meaning of the sentence. Think of them as the ultimate assistants. They don't stand alone. Instead, they step up right before your main action to show things like ability, permission, advice, possibility, or obligation. They do all the heavy lifting. This means you don't have to rely on super complicated vocabulary to get your exact feelings across. Moving right along to section 2. 2 simple golden rules. These are going to fix mistakes instantly. Okay, pay close attention, because mastering just these 2 unbreakable rules will eliminate a huge portion of everyday English errors. Step 1. Always use the base form of the verb. After a modal verb, there is no s, no ing, and no past tense, just the pure base verb. Step 2. Never use do or does to make questions. Remember, modal verbs are already helping verbs. They are incredibly strong on their own, so they absolutely do not need extra help from words like do or does. Let's look at how this plays out. It's so easy to fall into traps, like saying, I can speaks, adding an unnecessary s, or asking, do you can swim, throwing in that extra do. But if we just follow our golden rules, it becomes beautifully simple. I can speak, just the base verb. Simple, right? And for a question, you literally just move the modal to the front. Can you swim? It is effortless, clean, and perfectly correct. Let's jump into section 3, ability, permission, and possibility, the everyday actions. And this brilliantly illustrates how we put these verbs to work. We talk about a present ability. We just use can, as in I can ride. But what if you're telling a story about when you were a kid, finally learning to balance on a bicycle? You just seamlessly shift to could for that past ability. I could ride. Or if we flip it to a negative, I couldn't balance at first, but now I can ride. It's like magic. It shifts your story from the past right into your present capabilities without missing a beat. But wait, could isn't just stuck in the past. Take a look at this highly relatable workplace scenario. Could you explain this part again? In this context, could is acting as a really polite request. Now, saying can you explain this is totally fine and normal, but swapping in could makes it softer. It's more respectful. It's an absolutely crucial trick for professional English, or, when you're talking to someone you don't know very well. It instantly levels up your politeness. We also use these verbs to talk about possibility. Okay, imagine the sheer panic of searching for your lost phone. First, you're trying to be logical, thinking, it could be in my bag. That's a solid possibility. Then you go check, no luck, so you think, it may be in the kitchen. Still nothing. Finally, reaching peak desperation, you're like, it might be under the sofa. You see what happened there? Could, may, and might all express varying degrees of possibility, with might usually feeling just a little less certain. But honestly, don't sweat the exact percentages. In everyday conversation, they all beautifully express that something is totally possible, just not 100% guaranteed. Now for section 4, advice, obligation, and offers. This is all about showing importance. So, think about giving advice. You might tell a friend, you should exercise. It's a great, friendly recommendation, right? But notice the dramatic jump in intensity if we change just one word. You must exercise. Boom. Must shows a very strong obligation. It sounds incredibly serious. It's literally the difference between a buddy giving you a helpful life hack and a doctor sitting you down to give you an absolute, non-negotiable requirement for your health.
And speaking of must, I want to clear up a major confusion learners have. There is a massive difference between must and have to. When you say, I must exercise, that's internal. It's your own strong personal decision. You are determined to do it. But when you say, I have to exercise, well, that obligation is completely external. It's coming from an outside rule, like that doctor's order we just talked about, or maybe an external requirement like having to wear a school uniform or following a strict shift at your job. Grasping this subtle difference adds so much nuance to your fluency.
Finally, let's talk about would. This is basically the daydreamer's verb. We use it to express our imaginary scenarios. For example, I would travel the world if I had money. Sigh, wouldn't we all? It's also perfect for polite offers, like asking a guest, would you like some coffee? This specific little modal verb gives you the freedom to express your grandest dreams, your hypothetical situations, and the things you really wish you could do. All right, we are in the home stretch. Section 5, Avoiding Common Mistakes. Let's tackle those tricky negatives. Now, what's really interesting about this is the massive difference in meaning between these two negative structures. This is exactly where a lot of people get stuck. Take a phrase like, you mustn't come. That is a strict prohibition. It means it is absolutely not allowed, full stop. But compare that to, you don't have to come. This simply means it's not necessary. It is completely optional. So mustn't means stop, don't do it under any circumstances. Don't have to just means, hey, you have a choice. Nailing this difference will instantly make your English sound highly proficient. So let's pull all of this together into a clean summary. Think of this as your quick mental map for everything we just covered. We started with can to show ability and permission. Then we moved to should for giving that helpful advice. We scaled way up to must for strong, serious obligations. And then we explored would for those polite offers and big imaginary dreams. If you keep this breakdown in your mind, you consolidate all the power of these helping verbs into one clear, actionable picture. They really aren't just dry grammar tools. They're the keys to expressing your exact thoughts clearly and confidently. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative question directly inspired by our source material today. What would you do if you spoke English fluently? I really want you to think about that, because by mastering these simple modal verbs, by using the base verb, ditching the do and does in questions, and knowing exactly when to use must versus should, you are taking a massive, practical step toward that exact fluency. I hope you're leaving this session feeling totally empowered and eager to practice your new tools. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep on learning.